Hello, hello, hello. It's your boy Imbex, and I have to do a little tutorial real quick. Some people have requested this, on my Facebook page. They wanted to know how to get started with OBS and to keep it running at like an optimum level. So first things first, I'm going to unplug my camera, and we're going to start from the scratch, okay? And then after I plug it back in, it activates. I will show you just how bad it looks when you start it up. This is numero uno, the main problem with a bunch of people's cameras. Okay, so as you see, when you first plug it in, it is trash, right? So as you realize, it's doing some things it shouldn't be doing. For example, it's got backlight compensation, and the sharpness is horrible, and the frame rate is horrible. So we're gonna go ahead and switch over the screen so you can see what I see. Bada boom, bada bing. So you're gonna go to your webcam, right click on it, go to properties. Anytime that doesn't work, it should show this right here. Anytime it doesn't work, you go to click activate and then deactivate, or deactivate to activate if it's working. In switching scenes to doing everything, that's a little different. But if it's not working, then you just activate, deactivate. That's a little trick to help you out. So when you have a shitty ass camera looking like this, even though it's a really good camera, I paid like $80 for it. It works really good. I will show you what I do. So you click on configure video, click on camera control. Step 1, take your focus, uncheck that, slide that all the way to the left. Because if you don't, swiping all the way to the right will be out of focus. And you want that to be as clear as possible. So you slide that all the way, if I can grab it, all the way to the left. That's all the way in focus. Turn off low light compensation. Big difference now. See, it's clear. All that, it's gone. Next thing is you want to turn up your sharpness. Now the thing with sharpness is you can turn it up, but if you turn it up too much, you'll have this thing called noise, which is that. All those little bits all over the place, too much sharpness. You just got to dial it back just a bit until you find that sweet spot, which would be right about there. That's good. I want it to be sharp, but I don't want it to be like noisy as fuck, but it still has some sharpness. So I want to bring it by like right about there is good. A little bit more. Yeah, that's good. That's good. It's gonna change because my lights. It's like a masking effect. As the lights change, it hides most of the noise. But yeah, anti-flicker. I usually have that at 60 hertz. Gain and white balance and all that. I'm gonna show you because if you have like a dark camera, it just means that you need more light in your room. You don't need to fuck with these settings that much. I'm gonna go to apply. Now you're gonna go to resolution type. Now what you want to do, instead of clicking this down arrow and going to one of the randoms or matching it with the out scale or the input scale, is to just make it the highest you can that the box said it can be. So for example, my camera is a 1080p, so I usually leave it at 1280 by 720. I could make it to 1080 somewhere. Oh no, it's not in there. Well, I just usually leave it at 1280 720. That's the most I leave it at, so the camera isn't too much. If you have a higher camera, then you could bring it up higher for frames per second, because these two go hand in hand. Because if you have this set to 30, it's going to be locked at 30. Mine is at 30, but it looks like almost a 60. If you know how to add more light, the more light you have, the more faster the frame rate is for your camera. I'll show you what I mean. I put that at 30. You see that lag, all that sway and shit. It's not really that clean. And if you go to matched, which is usually what it's usually set on, it's going to match it to the output, which will still be 30. So I usually just leave it at highest frames per second. Less lag. See? You can see that in real time. Almost a 60, not close, but still highest as it can go. Don't mess the video format. Don't buffering still auto detect. Bada boom, that's good. So next thing you want to do, once you got your cam set up and you got your scene set up and everything, before I start each stream, this saves a lot of time. I'm telling you, is to go to tools, go to auto configuration, and I don't think I'm streaming. I don't know why it won't let me do it, but usually when you click on auto configuration, it pops up with a lot of windows. Once you get to the part where you have to put in the stream key and the stream URL, you click off prefer hardware encoding, because if you don't have a stream card, then it's just going to eat up your CPU and also your RAM. It's going to just make it overheating as hell. So I'll click that off so I can use software encoding. Okay. Once that's done, you go to settings, go to stream. No, I'm sorry, output. And then I don't know why it still says I'm streaming, but you go to advanced, and then you would go to audio. Now, here's the thing with Facebook, they can only take at max 192 kpbs, whereas Twitch can take 320, and Mixcloud could take 320, and bandlab and other kind of sites could take 256 or 192, one or the either. But the thing is, the more higher you make your audio bit rate, the more CPU is going to eat up in your PC. So you can make it lower, but it's going to sound horrible, especially when you have horrible downloads, if you've been getting them from pools or stealing them or whatever. But I usually just have everything at 320 or 256, and it should say like right there. Now here's the thing though, it's automatically configured the bit rate and the encoder, so it's going to run smooth after it's done. It's going to flicker for a bit, and it's going to show like a blank screen. Then once it's done, just go to apply settings after you've done the configuration wizard, and then that's it with that. If you move some bits and it starts to have a shadow effect, that means you need to go back to advanced and then go to the keyframe interval and then change it back to 0. If it's not at 0, you set it at 2, not 3, not above that, just 2 or 0, and then that definitely fixes that problem. Now with your video, I already said everything and all that. Advanced, this is also a good fix for you. So if you're dealing with a lot of CPU usage, and like when you're using OBS and it's just eating up your CPU, you go here to advanced, process priority, you set that to high. Render, you set it to the basic render, MV12. Don't mess with the color space. Then you're going to scroll down to network. You're going to click on enable network optimizations, and then you don't need to click dynamically change bitrate to manage congestion unless you live in a big city. But since it's still in the beta stage, I wouldn't really trust it, so I only use the enable network optimizations because it boosts the network speeds and everything that you're using. Whether it be a 2G or a 5G network, definitely something you need to put on. Now there's another thing. To clear up space after you've went through videos that show you how to optimize your PC, like, you know, put everything to 100%, blah, blah, blah. There's videos for that kind of thing, but that's a whole different step. That's why I'm skipping that. We're going to go to something easier than that. It's going to right-click on your taskbar, go to Task Manager, and it's going to show you two main things that you need to see, okay? You should see CPU and disk. If your disk is at 100% or near 100%, that means you need to defrag your disk. How do you defrag your disk? Go here, and then, go to the folder. Then you're going to go and right-click on your hard drive, go to Properties, go to Tools, and before you click that Optimize and you start that defrag, I am warning you now, make sure you do this when you're about to go to bed. Set a reminder. It's going to take a couple hours for them to free up all that space and those, you know, really bad errors on your drive, and once you wake up and you're ready to stream again, it'll be low like how mine is. And also, you also want to scan for malware. I would advise Malwarebytes. It's definitely worth the money. Now, when you go back to Task Manager, if your CPU is high, how you fix this is you would go to see what's running in the background. So we got Chrome, OBS, settings. You know, not big things. They're not eating a bunch. But you go to background processes, and then you look at things that you're not using right now that's running in the background. So I have printer stuff, gaming services. I don't need that. Then you have other important stuff. Click to run. I don't need that. I need the other stuff like a movie running in the background. I'm not even watching a movie. Photos. And then if you run a Windows PC, you might have this little culprit that eats up CPU all the time. It's called the Xbox Game Bar or the Xbox Console Companion. They usually start up like automatically every time you start your PC. You search for that and you cut that bad boy off so you can have more CPU. And also this, my phone, I don't need that. And you see how my CPU has dropped from 70 all the way down to 40, and it's sitting nice at 40 now. Yeah, clear those. Don't mess with the window processes. And then that's it. Now for your program, that's a whole different thing of its own. But yeah, those are like things that I've noticed that people have been dealing with for a little bit. And those will most definitely help you out 100%. You don't need to download Avast or all other shit that makes you pay to scan your computer like AVG. You know what I'm saying? Just get Malwarebytes. It works 100% of the time, protects you every single time. But if it's eating up your CPU, shut it down while you're streaming, man, and then cut it back on when you're done. I hope I've helped you guys out. I'm Imbex, and I'm out. Goodbye.